everybody, it's Sierra, the Artsy Badger, and in today's voiceover, we're going to be doing something I've never done before, trying to do it in one take. And why are we doing this? Because I'm really trying to get this video up on Wednesday like I promised. So, as you can tell by how late it is that this video is going up, as long as this video actually goes up, fingers crossed, I am running a little bit late in the game. And to be honest, this is because being a dog mom is hard. It's my first time having a dog, and as you guys know, we have other small critters, and these other small critters live in this office where I do my filming, and the dog is obsessed. She cannot get enough of them, but not in a good way. She scratches at the door, and when I've tried to let her in here to kind of acclimate her to the small critters, she really just wants to eat them, might be the best way of putting it. I don't know that that's actually her intention, but she is very excited by them and very hard to call away from them, wants to bite at the cage and open the cage. Anyway, it is very difficult. And so I just don't really go in the office anymore, except for very brief moments to take care of said small creatures. But besides that, I don't really want to be sitting in here for many hours at a time because I know she'll just scratch at the door. So you may be wondering, Sierra, how did you manage to film anything at all then? Well, I brought the small critters to the garage. Don't worry, it's just a temporary thing. You know, they're like in their playpen, there's plenty of airflow, they've got food and water. I just needed them to not be in here while I film so that the dog could be in here while I film. And, you know, ideally, eventually, she will be able to be in here with us, but until we get her desensitized to the small creatures, that's not really in the cards for us. Now that I've gotten this long kind of dog rant over, let's talk a little bit about the art. So the eyes of Meiko, our dog, were really hard for me to render properly. But besides that, I had so much fun doing this drawing. It like totally reinvigorated my love for drawing like big anime eyes. The first thing my boyfriend said when he saw my drawing was like, holy crap, your eyes are huge. Which, by the way, I have not mentioned, but this is based off of a photo of me and Meiko on her adoption day. I don't remember if I mentioned her name in the previous video, but her name is Meiko, and it is spelt / pronounced incorrectly. It is a Japanese name, but the way that we spell it is Meiko, which would normally be pronounced Meiko, but we have this artist that we listen to, and the way that she writes it is Meiko, and she pronounces it Meiko, and so we don't want to pronounce it differently because we are naming her after that musical artist. Anyway, that's why her name is spelled that way, and that's why we pronounce it that way. But as I was saying, I am doing this drawing based off of a picture of Meiko's adoption day, and I just wanted to kind of stylize it in my sort of anime style. And I definitely have changed my style throughout the years. Sometimes I do big eyes, sometimes I do more realistic eyes, but I was really feeling those big anime eyes. And it just felt so fun and so good, and it really made me want to do more kind of pet portraits for people too. It's so cute and fun to draw pets. That being said, the coloring of Meiko, which you will see later, did not go quite as well, but that's okay. The line work and the sketching process, I just got so into it. I normally get pretty distracted when I'm drawing these days because I'm not as enthusiastic about it. But this time I was just like, man, I'm really feeling this. This is the way that I want to do things. It's kind of similar to that painting day. I just had so much fun painting that. I don't know. Sometimes sometimes I forget how much fun art is. But that's why I have this YouTube channel, to keep reminding myself how much I like art. So at this point, the sun is creeping in awkwardly, and so I decided to wait for a little bit for that sun to move and set away from the window. And then it was a race against the sun, which we are all familiar with on this channel. And although I did solve the problem of Meiko trying to attack guinea pigs while I am in the office, she was still very curious about this new room. So when you see shadows run across the drawing or the camera being bumped, that's usually her. So I apologize for any bad camera work. Here I'm adding some line weight variation to my line work. Sounds kind of repetitive, but I decided that I wanted there to be a little bit more depth, and although I have a very dark marker that is pretty much almost black, it definitely isn't, so I wanted to make sure these lines were dark enough to show through the marker. I don't know that they do that well, but that was my intention with the varying line weight. And honestly, I'm kind of sad that I didn't take a picture of the line work. I mean, I guess I have this video evidence, but I just loved the way it was looking at this point where it was just line work, no color. I really kind of botched it with the coloring of Meiko. I think I look okay, but Meiko doesn't look so great, but you'll just have to wait and see. It's so much fun to watch marker coloring in time-lapse because you really see the way the marker bleeds into the paper, and it makes it look almost like watercolor. It's so pretty. Speaking of markers bleeding, I did put this tape border around the drawing. I actually had no idea if it would work or if the marker would just bleed underneath the tape. And spoiler alert, it does bleed a little, but honestly, I kind of like the way it looks. It makes it look more rough and artsy, I guess. The one big mistake I made was coloring in my teeth. The reason I chose to do that was because I didn't want any white of the paper besides in my eyes, but I should have waited before I filled in the tongue because the tongue color just bled into my teeth. So later I fill it in with a white gel pen, so don't you worry, that's not actually what my teeth look like. I was struggling here to kind of keep the color of my glasses and my hair separate. And I mean, in reality, they are very similar in color, so I guess I am being true to real life, but I just didn't want it to be too muddied together. This one take thing is not working out very well for me because I really need to think about what I'm saying instead of just word vomiting at you guys. So I'm sorry if this video is just really weird and jumbled, but I'm really trying to get it done as fast as possible and leave as little voice over editing for myself as possible so that I can get this video up on a Wednesday like I promised. So although I said earlier that I think that my personal coloring in of myself turned out okay, I think I went a little too heavy on the blush. I just picked a color that was way too dark compared to my base skin tone. I think it's definitely a stylistic choice that some people might make to make that blush that pink. I've definitely seen it in other art before, but it's not really my thing. It makes me look like it's wintertime and my nose is running because it's so dang pink. So now it's time to adventure into the coloring of Meiko, which, holy smokes, was so difficult. I don't know if it's just that I don't have the right arsenal of colors for this or what, but it was so hard to get her colors right. I think I had it okay early on in the coloring, like this stage where I have the lights really light and I'm adding some really dark darks, and then I have a kind of medium base. I think if I had just left it like that, it would have been great. But I was too caught up in her actual coloring and how much darker it is than in this kind of first stage of coloring. Also, you notice that the sun is going down. I sincerely apologize for that, but I just tried to make it more true to real life instead of what would look best artistically. And so I went really, really dark. And then the lights on her face looked too light. And I had to just step away, which turned out to be a good thing because it got too dark, and came back at it the next day. This is when I make some other mistakes as well. I darken the lights on her face too much, I think, but she looks better artistically, not so much like she does in real life, but more cohesive, I guess. Although I'm looking at it right now and I'm like, this would have been perfect. You should have just left it like this, Sierra. Why do you have to go and overwork things all the time? It's the curse of artists, I think, to overwork things. It's just what we do. So that was my big struggle. Here you see me going over it with a darker tan brown color, and now she's way too dark. She's not this dark in real life. She has a lot more white speckliness, especially since she's 6. She's got a bunch of gray spots, and I did think about going in with my white gel pen to kind of lighten her up. I also think her face is wider. There's just a lot of things wrong with it at this point. I liked it so much in the line work stage, and now it just looks like poop. But I'm sure it'll grow on me and I'll learn to love it. And it's more the sentiment that matters to me than anything else. I just am really excited to have a dog, even though it's been such a test of my patience and ability to keep myself to a schedule. She is just so precious and bringing so much happiness to our lives. I wouldn't have it any other way, except for maybe have her be a little less interested in the guinea pigs. That would be nice. So here's just a little bit of the fun part, peeling away the border. And then that's it. It's not my best work, but it was really fun, and it definitely makes me want to work on kind of pet portraits a little bit more. I think that could be something that I would really enjoy. That being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.